Ladies and gentlemen, the Trump administration has just absolutely laid down the law on one of the most defiant and anti-American, radically progressive politicians in the country, Boston City Mayor Michelle Wu. Now, as many of you know, since taking office in 2021, Mayor Michelle Wu has effectively turned Boston into a third world hellhole, or as she likes to call it, a sanctuary city. She's refused to work with ICE, she's actively harboring thousands of illegal aliens, she's continued to be publicly defiant of President Trump's executive authority, and now she's just openly ignoring the Department of Justice. You see, last week on August 13th, Attorney General Pam Bondi sent a letter over to Boston Mayor Michelle Wu saying that if she doesn't start complying with federal immigration law and stop harboring illegal aliens, then she's going to have to deal with the full force of the federal government. And so, folks, this is where today's story gets a little bit crazy. You see, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu isn't exactly known for being the brightest bulb in the box, to say the least. So go ahead and take a look at her response. Let it play.
We're here again today because last week, Boston received a letter from the Attorney General of the United States on official letterhead from the federal government threatening to prosecute city officials and withhold federal funds unless we cooperate with carrying out mass deportations. At a time when this federal administration is already causing so much fear and harm in our communities, these threats are serious and consequential. But our same communities have told me loud and clear that silence in the face of oppression is not an option. The U.S. Attorney General asked for a response by today. So here it is. Stop attacking our cities to hide your administration's failures. Unlike the Trump administration, Boston follows the law. And Boston will not back down from who we are and what we stand for.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Boston City Mayor Michelle Wu isn't exactly known for being the sharpest tool in the shed. In essence, she's just declared war on the federal government. You know, the Trump administration that the overwhelming majority of Americans just got done voting for, and you know all of those federal immigration laws that all of us democratically agreed upon? Well, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu doesn't care about any of that. In fact, she's just going to keep on trying to harbor a bunch of violent illegal alien invaders in her city, many of whom are actually members of foreign cartel terrorist organizations. Now, folks, none other than Stephen Miller actually gave his thoughts on this entire situation, so I want you all to take a look at that. But first, I do want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. But okay, play the clip.
The Democrat Party is an extremist organization, Sean. It's not a political party in any normal sense of the word. A political party represents Americans. It represents law-abiding citizens. All you see all day long are crazy Democrats screeching on TV on behalf of foreign terrorists, hardened criminals, and violent illegal aliens. A political party exclusively dedicated to protecting terrorists, criminals, gangbangers, and murderers. That's what they become. These sanctuary city mayors, DOJ's been very clear. They had a deadline and they violated it. They had a deadline to comply with federal law and hand over the criminal illegal aliens in their custody, the child rapists, the child predators, the drug traffickers, the human traffickers. The sanctuary cities, like Boston, refused to turn over these menacing threats to public safety. And so now they face not only revocation of funds, not only the loss of taxpayer support, but also potential criminal charges for harboring and smuggling. This is as real as it gets, Sean. The Department of Justice laid out to these mayors how they were breaking our laws, and they refuse to change their policy, and Attorney General Bondi is going to see this thing through to the end.
And so, folks, let's talk about what that actually looks like. As things currently stand, because of Mayor Michelle Wu's open defiance of the democratic will of the American people, Trump has ordered the total shutdown of all federal funding going into the city of Boston, and he's about to flood the city with an army of federal ICE agents. That's what happens, Mayor Michelle Wu. You effed around, and now it's time to find out. But you know what? What do you say we talk about why this entire situation really is so serious? Take a look.
Let me just break down for your audience, Sean, how severe the crime committed by these sanctuary cities is. So you'll have a situation where local police in Boston will arrest an illegal alien who's a child predator. And ICE will then send what's called a detainer request or a hold request, and will say, don't release this person, hand them over to ICE, and we'll remove this child predator from our community. Instead, these sanctuary mayors will order the police department to ignore the federal request to set them free out of the jail, out of the prison, and they will go back into the community, and then they will reoffend. They will hurt another little girl, they will hurt another little boy, and then ICE has to spend weeks scouring the community to find this public safety threat. What they're doing, Sean, is evil, and President Trump will see that they are held to account for their crimes.
And so, folks, it's those sort of criminals that sanctuary city mayors across the country, just like Boston City Mayor Michelle Wu, have been playing coverage for. The unfortunate reality is, every single day that these sanctuary cities are allowed to exist, hardworking, tax-paying American citizens just like you and me are having their safety put at risk and, regrettably, even losing their lives. And you know, here's really the crazy thing about all of this. We already know that President Trump knows how to clean up all of these filthy, crime-ridden cities, because that's exactly what he's done in Washington, D.C. in just the last week. In fact, take a look at this. In just the last 7 days alone, every single category of crime has seen a decrease in Washington, D.C., all because President Trump had the bravery to actually face all of these gang member thugs, illegal aliens, and criminals head on. And on that note, take a look at what Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche had to say about all of that just last night. Let it play.
President Trump's goal from day one has been to make this city safe, to make this city a place that we all enjoy being, to make this city a place that world leaders who come to see the president come in and are jealous of, and that's something that we are proud of. And for example, just last night, we arrested over 80 people in this city, including an MS-13 gang member. We took 9 firearms off the street. Since we started this effort, we've arrested 4 people on suspected homicide, over 50 people for drugs charges, and that's in August, and it's just been going on for just over a week. And so what our goal is to empower the police department and empower the leadership in D.C. to know that they can make this city safe again, and it will not be completely safe in 30 days, but we're already seeing results every single night and every single day that the community loves. And by the way, Laura, the same liberal media that's out there criticizing us and saying that we're doing something wrong and we shouldn't have the National Guard, they're the same liberal media that turn off the mics and jump for joy because they can now go to a restaurant without fear of getting mugged. They can now go home and go for a walk with their dog and their children without feeling that they're going to have somebody, a juvenile or somebody come and sucker punch them. And so this is a great thing for D.C. It's a great thing for America. And President Trump has talked about doing this for years. And so it's a good thing that he's doing, and we're happy to support him.
And so, folks, as a reminder, the reason why we're all so happy to support him is because we have all had enough. All of us patriotic American citizens are sick and tired of watching our country slowly devolve into a violent, drug-infested third world slum, which is exactly what happens time and time again under the radically progressive leadership of the Democrats. And so, folks, if you want to know, here's my opinion. Personally, I hope that the Trump administration cracks down on not just Boston, but really on every single sanctuary city across the entire nation. I genuinely hope that he gives all of these radically progressive hellholes the same treatment he's just given to Washington, D.C. Because, hey, really, what's the purpose of the National Guard? It's to guard our nation, and the reality is that our nation has been invaded and overtaken by millions of illegal alien invaders, hundreds of thousands of violent ghetto gang members, and of course, all of the radically progressive politicians. So you know what? Here's my opinion. It's time to go all in and actually solve these problems, because that is what it's going to take to finally put America first.